Hi, welcome to episode 67 of The Corner of Knit and Tea. I'm Laura, also known as Fluffy K on Ravelry, Fluffy Kira on Instagram and Twitter. I blog over at The Corner of Knit and Tea, and that's where this episode's show notes will be, along with every episode and show notes. I have an Etsy shop called The Stash Buckler Adventures in Yarn, where I sell my hand-spun yarns. And we have a Ravelry group called The Corner of Knit and Tea. And if you haven't come over and joined us, you should. We have a great knit along going on right now, which I'll speak more about later in the podcast. So hi, how are you? I hope that you have had a wonderful week. Mine has been busy, busy, busy. I called this week the eating week because every day there was a party or some luncheon or something to do. And I ate too much and it was kind of a crazy week. It has been a lovely weekend. We had no real plans. Just had a few things, a few errands we wanted to run, but pretty much everything else is done. We went out and did a big grocery shopping trip yesterday, so I have everything that I need for the week to come, including the holiday preparations. And the big news was that we had ordered a new dining room set at the very beginning of December, and we were told it wouldn't be until February, but it came in time, so we're going to have Christmas dinner on our new dining room set. And we also ordered a cabinet, like a buffet, and a china hutch. And so I have been cleaning and dusting and rearranging, and this morning I went looking for things to fill the top of the hutch, which is beautiful. It's wood and glass, and I found a whole bunch of our wedding gifts that I had kind of forgotten that we had asked for, like serving trays and crystal and some beautiful things that I have never used, and we've been married a little over 7 years now. So I pulled some of those out to display in there, and it looks really pretty. And we had a bookcase where the hutch is now, and we had moved it a couple months ago, and I had moved everything that was on there into the guest bedroom for storage, and now I've cleaned out the guest bedroom, so that is ready for Christmas as well. And I plan to do a little sweeping and vacuuming later this afternoon, and then I think we'll be pretty well ready. I have one more little thing I need to stop and pick up for Wes's stocking, but otherwise I think we're pretty well prepared for Christmas. I have one gift that's outstanding, but it's shipping, so I don't really have control over when it gets here. So my mother-in-law will either get the gift or she'll get an IOU, so we'll just have to see. Otherwise, we are just gearing up for the holidays. I am super excited because next weekend I have Christmas Eve and Christmas Day off, and I also have the following Monday off, so that will make it a 5-day weekend for me. And my head is spinning with plans of crafting and all the things I'm going to do while I'm off, and I probably won't get half of them done. But this whole going to work for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday is getting in my way because I'm just planning all the things that I want to do. So you will see some of those as I talk about crafting, but that is a pretty good summary of what's been going on this week. It is a little darker today. I turned on some lights, but we'll have to see how the color goes. We are supposed to be getting a rainstorm today. It was in the 40s yesterday and super chilly. Today it's up close to 60, and then the rest of the week it's supposed to be windy, rainy on and off, and about 40 degrees. So it will be a chilly Christmas. So that is me here. Let's move into the show. Last week I didn't write down show notes. I did think about it before I sat down, but I didn't write them down, which I think is why I was so out of order. So this week I will be back in order and have all of my show notes in front of me. So let's move on to tea. Today I am drinking Harney & Sons Cranberry Autumn. I actually bought this I think last fall and Christmas, but it is delicious. Let's see what we've got. It's black tea with cranberry and orange. It smells delicious, and I am getting all of the cranberry and holiday things that I can while I can. I am drinking this in a hand-thrown mug. I got it from the Tamarack Village in West Virginia when we drove through a couple of years ago, and I thought it was a good warm holiday mug and drink. So that is delicious. Like I said, black tea with cranberry and orange. That is Harney & Sons Autumn Harvest, or Cranberry Autumn, and I will put that in the show notes. So, moving on to the knits. I didn't feel like I got a ton accomplished this week, but I actually did. The first thing that is finished is what I was talking to you about last week. This is the Eric the Viking pattern by Amanda Berry, and he is freaking adorable. His shield is a little curly. I may need to just give that a quick block. He is knit in a variety of pieces from a pattern. I believe the pattern was $5. It calls for DK weight. I used fingering doubled and made some modifications. For instance, the toy calls for the pattern to be knit flat, and I knit it in the round. But he is just adorable, and he will be my husband's stocking stuffer. So I am glad that he is done, and I have managed to, even though I'm super excited about him, keep my mouth shut. So I don't think my husband knows he's coming, and I hope he loves him. So that is Eric the Viking. The second thing that I finished this week, I talked about last week, were the Fiber Trends clogs. They are not 100% finished because they are not felted and they are enormous. But I did knit them, as I said. My husband wanted them. He picked out the colors. It is Cascade 220 in Blaze, and then this is in Dark Forest. It's actually a really, really dark green, so they're kind of almost day glow. Anyway, I finished all of the knitting and weaving in of ends and whatnot. They just need to get felted now, and I am holding off on felting them because sadly I have another pair to knit, which I will talk about in just a moment. So I figured I'd hold off and I'd felt them all together. So my plan is to knit the second set this week and then move on, because these are a great, great, great slipper pattern and not at all my favorite knit. So slippers for the husband. He should, I know they look comically huge. He wears a man's, I think he wears a 9 or a 10. This is the medium size. They will shrink down to the appropriate size when I felt them. So those are his slippers done, but I don't consider it 100% a finished object yet because they need to be felted. So that is those. And the last thing that I worked on just a little bit, but not enough, is my second Geeky and Grinchy sock. I showed you the first one complete last week, and this is what I have done on the second. I need to finish these so that I can wear them for Christmas. So that is going to be my main focus in the next couple days. I expect work to be light this week, and I should have plenty of time to knit them, and if I have to finish them on Christmas Eve, so be it. That is the Geek pattern by Way Long, and that's it's a free pattern on Knitty with some slipped stitches, and the yarn is Desert Vista Dye Works self-striping. It's her Viso base in You're a Mean One. So that is what I have been working on, which brings me to what I'm going to cast on this week, because the only thing I have on the needles right now is the sock. Well, that's not entirely true, but the only thing that I'm really working on that I have on the needles is the sock, and I hope to finish that by Christmas, which is Friday, which should not be a problem. I just need to spend some time at it, and that is in my Stashing All the Way bag, which I absolutely love, and I've linked that in the show notes a few times. So what is coming up? The first thing that I need to do is I need to do slippers for my sister who requested them, and I am going to do that gosh darn felted clogs pattern again because I love the way they come out even if I don't enjoy knitting them, although I did purchase a new needle this week, and the new needle makes my hands hurt less, so bonus for that. For my sister, she's like me, she loves teal, so I picked 2 colors. Oh, and this is not really coming across that well. The dark teal color is I think it's called Lake Como or Como. It's a teal. It's coming across way too blue here, so that is not really a good color accurate color. And then this is Heather Summer Sky or something. It is a heathered, it's a blue, and it looks really nice. It picks up there's just some bits in the heathering that are a little bit teal, and it picks that up. So I think this will be a nice color combo. I will take some pictures on my Instagram account so that you can see what they actually look like rather than what the weird color in my room is doing to them. That's a little bit closer, but I will take some pictures so you can see. So I'm going to wind these up right after I finish podcasting and hopefully finish these this week so that I can felt everything next weekend and everybody can have their slippers. And then I think I'm going to close the slipper factory for a little while. Which brings me to the next project that I want to cast on, and I am hoping to get to cast it on during Christmas weekend, the long weekend. And it also kind of brings me into the next knit along for the group. Every year, or I shouldn't say every year because last year was the first year, but last year I did the Gift All the Things or Gift Knit Along, which I am currently doing now in the group. Remember, that is anything you knit for a person other than yourself. It doesn't have to be a holiday gift, but it cannot be for you. The majority of the work needs to be completed in November and December, and that runs until December 31st, and we have some great prizes. We have some stitch markers and a shawl pin from Drew, who is Mission Knit Possible. We have a great teacup project bag from Knit and Stitch Bits. There is a skein of sock yarn from me. It's a self-striping skein from Nomadic Yarns when you play the Game of Thrones. And there will probably be a couple patterns awarded as well from me. Then when we roll into January, I am declaring January Selfish Knitting Month. So knit something for yourself. Spoil yourself after you have spent the holiday season knitting for other people. So now, and a lot of what I have been knitting has not necessarily been holiday gifts. They've just been gifts for other people, but I did a lot of knitting for Roxy. I'm knitting for my husband. I'm knitting for my sister. I'm knitting for my mother, and I am ready to knit something for myself. So for me in particular, I think I'm going to try and declare 2016 the year of the selfish knitter because I have so many projects piled up with yarn and patterns and everything ready to go, and I just keep putting them off to knit other people things. And I am kind of sick and tired of that. So I have decided that for next year, my goal is to knit mostly for myself. The exceptions to this are I am going to continue to knit a charity hat a month so that I can donate those hats, and I most likely will still knit a few things for Miss Roxy. So those will definitely be exceptions, but I am going to try and focus a little bit on knitting things for myself that I enjoy because I feel like I am getting swallowed up in obligation knitting. So that is a plan for the year going forward. So the final thing that I was going to talk about this week is something that I hope to cast on in the next week or so. And I'm doing this because I would like to be part of the knit along, but also because it is a beautiful pattern. I am talking about the Vita Shawl by Mina Phillip, who is the Knitting Expat. And it is a beautiful shawl that has some very light lace up at top and an applied edging border. And one of the things that I really like about this pattern is Mina suggests doing the shawl body in one color and the edging in a completely different color. And if you know me, that's not something I do very often as a contrast. So I am also knitting this because in addition to being beautiful, and the version that I'm going to knit takes 1,200 yards of a super squishy yarn, and you know I love big super squishy shawls to wrap around myself when it gets cold. But in addition to all of that, I want to challenge a little bit of my color notions and wanting to just step outside the box a little bit in the things that I knit. So I am planning to knit the Vita Shawl in, I have 2 skeins of Madeline Tosh Merino Light in the Mirth colorway, which of course is not going to show up right. It is a beautiful tealy green, and it almost glows. It was something that she released back when TML was 440 yards a skein, and back when it was a fairly new base for her, and so you had to buy either through her Etsy shop or through her special store, and you couldn't get them elsewhere. And Mirth was, as I understand it, a special edition early in her run, and I picked up 2 skeins and was saving them for the perfect shawl. And that looks way bluer than it is. It's a lot greener and tealier. And then I have a skein of, this is, you know, the thing says mica, but I'm just not, I guess it is. This is also Tosh Merino Light. This is later, and it is the mica colorway. So I thought I would do it in this dark blue and then have the light blue / kind of pale green colorway at the edge. And none of this is showing up correctly, so I will need to take some photos. Actually, to be honest, it looks a little bit like the colors that I'm using for my sister's slippers. They must run in the family. So this is what I plan to wind up. I love Tosh Merino Light. It is super, super, super soft, and I just want to wrap myself in this shawl. So this is 1,200 yards, and I am super excited to start it. And I just need to wind the yarn, and actually this may be a Christmas Day cast on if I can finish off all the other things. I would really like to start the new year out with not a lot to knit for other people. I still have my mom's mittens. Those are the colorwork mittens and actually those are in similar colors to these too. So I guess the whole family loves teal. Anyway, so I need to pick those back up, but my plan is to try and get the slippers done and then start on this shawl for myself and do a little bit of selfish knitting and then sneak my mom's mittens in between that. I just really want to work on something for myself, you know? And then the other cast on that I want to do is part of the fall into winter knit along with Welford Pearls Rachel and Kate, Hello Knitty Kate, and the Stitch Addiction, and that is some hand-spun sock yarn. But my plan is to finish my Christmas socks this week, finish the slippers, and then start on this shawl and work on my mom's mittens, and then I will slip the hand-spun socks in there somewhere, and that is to get me through the end of January. So I have plans. I also have a million other projects that, like I said, are put aside with yarn and pattern. And I have too many to knit for this winter, and they're all scarves and shawls and warm things. And so I'm just going to keep knitting and hopefully wear as many of them as I can. So I will, that's what I plan to knit this week, and I will have lots of extra time. So I'm hoping to get a lot of that done and have plenty to show you next week. So that is all for the knitting. I think I'm going to take a quick sip of tea and then we will go on to the spinning. Last week I showed you a braid of Malabrigo Nube or Noob. I don't know how to pronounce it, but I think it's probably Nube. It is their wool. I think it's just merino wool, but it's a wool spinning fiber, and the colorway was Archangel, and this one is still kind of wet because I just finished it last night, but it came out beautifully, and you can see it's bits of red and pink, and there's some purples and some peachy oranges, and it's coming across a little more monotone on the monitor than it is in real life. I'll have to take some nice pictures, and this will be going up in the shop. I am not sure how many yards, but I'm guessing 350 to 375 of kind of a heavy fingering, and it is super soft and squishy, and I think it would be wonderful either worn next to the skin or maybe as socks. It's not super wash, but it would make great socks. It would make a great shawl or cowl or hat or mitts, but it is super soft and super fun. For the most part, I enjoyed spinning it. So I have seen quite a few braids of Malabrigo Nube that are felted, and this one was actually not felted. It drafted okay. It drafted better than I was afraid it might. I have seen a lot of people fight with Malabrigo. It did not draft as smoothly as some of the other fibers that I spin. And the other thing was that this one was spun on my mini spinner because I put the spinning wheel away, and I found this one a little bit more challenging. In general, I find the mini spinner a little bit more challenging to spin singles. Not so much for plying, but for some reason I don't quite have the hang of spinning singles, and when it breaks I have a hard time getting it connected and going again. So the inconsistency in drafting with this, even though it wasn't terrible, was kind of a bummer because I broke it a few times, and that just always bums me out. That said, it's beautiful yarn, and I managed to get it going again. The breaks are in the singles, so basically I can join them back together, so it doesn't mean that the skein itself is broken, because I had no breaking and plying, so it is a perfectly usable skein, and so this will be going up in the shop probably in another day or two. I need to wait and do the final measurements once it is dry, so I will take some pictures, but it won't actually go up for probably till, I'm guessing, well, maybe tomorrow, but probably Tuesday. Which brings me to what I need to spin this week, and I'm terribly sorry I forgot to pull it out of the bag, so I'm going to do that right now. This is a braid that was sent to me by a friend, and it is the Yarn Wench, who I am not terribly familiar with, but I believe she has an Etsy shop, and it is a Falkland wool braid called Smoke and Mirrors. And it is lovely purples and eggplants and grays, and I think this is going to be a really fun kind of solid braid to spin. Really, it's kind of hard. Well, you can see just a little bit of the kind of pops of purple in there. There aren't a ton, but there are a few. And I think this is going to be a really, really pretty braid. It's almost reading like black and white with a hint of purple, but it really is purple with a hint of gray. So I think that is going to be beautiful. That's what I'm going to spin up this next week. And I'm hoping maybe I could even do 2 spins this week, which I didn't pull a second braid because I haven't looked yet. But I am hoping that maybe I could do a second spin this week because I'll have the time, but we will just have to see. So that is what I have for you this week. It's a little bit back to normal length. I had a little bit to chat about with you. We are looking forward to Christmas Eve and Christmas this week. My in-laws will be coming to stay with us for a couple days, so things should be busy, although I am hoping to have some extra crafting time because what else is time off for? And then I don't think they'll stay all of next weekend, so I should have a few days to recover. But if you are celebrating, I wish you wonderful, happy holidays, since I will not see you until after the holiday. But I will see you next Sunday, as usual. And if you're not celebrating, I hope you have a wonderful week anyway, and that you may even get a little bit of time off, because I think most places generally close for the holidays, even if it's not specifically what you celebrate. So I will say to you, as I always do, until I see you next time, happy spinning, happy knitting, happy sipping, and I'll see you next time. Bye.